We'll now begin looking at sine and cosine in all quadrants. Use the left-hand trick in order to find our different reference angles of 30, 45, and 60. But before we do that, we're going to be looking at, again, the axes. So the ordered pair xy, remember the alphabet, so therefore we know that our ordered pair xy goes cosine, comma, sine in the unit circle. So let's start with the axes. It says, what are the coordinates of A? We know that on the unit circle, it's just within the boundaries of 1, 1, 0, 1, negative 1, 0, and 0, negative 1. So we know that coordinate A is going to be at 1, 0. It goes cosine and then sine. So therefore, cosine of 0 degrees is 1 and sine of 0 degrees is 0. Next, it says, what are the coordinates of B? At B, we are at 0, 1. Cosine, comma, sine. So cosine of 90 degrees is 0. Sine of 90 degrees is 1. Next, coordinate C. Coordinate C, we are at negative 1, 0. Goes cosine, comma, sine. So cosine of 180 is negative 1. Sine of 180 is 0. At the bottom, what are the coordinates of D? Coordinates of D are 0, negative 1. So we have cosine, comma, sine. So cosine of 270 degrees is 0. Sine of 270 degrees is negative 1. And then we end up back at 360 degrees. 360 degrees is the same as 0 degrees. We start at 0, go around the unit circle, and we end at 360 degrees. So they both share the coordinate of 1, 0. Cosine of 360 is 1. Sine of 360 is 0. So these are the ordered pairs for my axes. And then we were able to figure out the sine and cosine of each of them. Now we're going to be working on 45 degrees in all quadrants. So my page right here is split up into my 4 quadrants. When we're talking about our 45-degree angle in all quadrants, I'm talking about referencing 45 degrees the entire time. I know that my 45-degree angle, if I look at my left hand, put down my middle finger, remember they both have a denominator of 2 because all of them have a denominator of 2 except for the axes. And on top I see 2 fingers, so we have square root 2 over 2. And on the bottom of my fingers I see another 2, so we have square root 2 over 2. So 45 degrees is root 2 over 2, comma, root 2 over 2. And again, this goes cosine, comma, sine. Now in quadrant 1, it's right in the middle. So we have 45 degrees. And we go from 0 degrees up 45 degrees. So here's my ordered pair, root 2 over 2, comma, root 2 over 2. In quadrant 2, now quadrant 1, we know that these are both positive, positive. However, if we think about the actual grid, actual XY graph, either one, in quadrant 2, we have the ordered pair where everything is negative, comma, positive. And that's exactly how it's going to be in this unit circles quadrant 2. So for 45 degrees, in order to figure out the measure of the angle in this quadrant, I'm going to go from 180 back 45 degrees. So 180 minus 45, we're at 135 degrees. So 135 is my degree that references my 45-degree angle. So it has the same ordered pair of root 2 over 2, comma, root 2 over 2, except it's going to be negative, positive. And in quadrant 3, start at the origin. I'm going to go that way, 45 degrees. So we're going to do 180 plus 45 degrees. And in quadrant 3, we're at 225 degrees. In quadrant 3, it's negative, negative. So because 225 degrees references my 45-degree angle, we have square root 2 over 2, comma, root 2 over 2, except for this time, it's going to be negative, negative. In quadrant 4, I'm going to take 360 degrees, subtract 45 degrees, and we're at 315. So we have our reference angle of 45 degrees. So I know that my ordered pair is root 2 over 2 comma root 2 over 2. And in this quadrant 4, we have positive, negative. Because in quadrant 4, everything goes positive, comma, negative. So we have positive, negative as our ordered pair in quadrant 4. So my degree measures of 45, 135, 225, and 315. They all share the ordered pair root 2 over 2 comma root 2 over 2. However, depending on the quadrant, depends on the symbols. So let's label the axes and my 45-degree reference angle in this picture. So starting at 0, we have 1 comma 0. Then we're at 45. We have root 2 over 2 comma root 2 over 2. Then we're at 90 degrees, 0, 1. Then we're at 135 degrees. So we're at root 2 over 2 comma root 2 over 2. However, make sure that you have that negative sign there. Then we have 180 degrees. At 180 degrees, we have negative 1 comma 0. After that, we have 225 degrees. So we have root 2 over 2 comma root 2 over 2. However, because we're in this quadrant, they're both negative. After that, we have 270 degrees, 0, negative 1. And last but not least, we have 315 degrees. So we have root 2 over 2 comma root 2 over 2 because 315 references 45. In this quadrant, it's positive, negative. So if you look at these, we have 45 in between 0 and 90. We have 135 in between 90 and 180. 225 in between 180 and 270. And then 315 in between 270. And then finally, 360. You notice all of my reference angles that are 45 degrees end in 5. And this is the only time that you will have a number ending in 5. And not all numbers that end in 5 reference 45 degrees. Now let's scroll on down and take a look at 30 degrees in all quadrants. So if I take a look at my left hand and I put down my ring finger, we know that everything has a denominator of 2. And for 30 degrees, we have 3 fingers on top, so we have square root 3 over 2, comma, and then we have 1 finger on the bottom, so we have 1 over 2. And of course, we know that it goes cosine, comma, sine. So for 30 degrees in all quadrants, we have 0 degrees right here, and we end at 360 degrees right there. And then we have 180 degrees on the other side. We know that in quadrant 1, everything's positive, positive, positive. In quadrant 2, we have negative, positive. In quadrant 3, we have negative, negative. And in quadrant 4, we have positive, negative. Now, just like for 45 degrees, every single angle that references my 30-degree angle will have the ordered pair of root 3 over 2 comma 1/2. So in this first quadrant, we know that we went up 30 degrees. So we have square root 3 over 2 comma 1 over 2. In quadrant 2, I'm going to go back 30 degrees also. So 180 minus 30, now I'm at 150 degrees. So my ordered pair, we have square root 3 over 2 comma 1 over 2. And we have negative, positive. In quadrant 3, we go a little bit this way. So we're doing 180 plus 30. And we have a new degree measure of 210. So we have root 3 over 2, comma, 1 over 2. However, make sure that you have the symbols correct. So we have negative, negative. And then finally, 360, and then go back 30, so minus 30. So we're at 330. We have 330. That references my 30-degree angle. So we have square root 3 over 2, comma, 1 over 2. And my correct symbols are going to be positive, negative. Okay. So you notice all of my angles that reference 30 degrees, they stay right along the x-axis. Right along the x-axis. And they all have the ordered pair, root 3 over 2, comma, 1/2. But depending on the quadrant, depends on the symbols. Finally, we are in our last reference angle of 60 degrees for all quadrants. So looking at my left hand, I'm going to put down my pointer finger. So remember, everything has a denominator of 2. I see my thumb on top, so that makes 1. And we have 3 fingers on the bottom, so we have square root 3. So all 60-degree angles reference, or all angles that reference 60 degrees will be 1/2, comma, root 3 over 2. Over here we have 0 degrees, 360 degrees. Over here we have 180 degrees. Now I'm going to start at the origin and go up 60 degrees. We have our ordered pair 1/2, comma, square root 3 over 2 to start with. In quadrant 2, starting at 180, I'm going to go back 60 degrees. So 180 minus 60, I'm at 120 degrees. So we have 1/2, comma, square root 3 over 2. In quadrant 2, we have negative, positive. So therefore, negative, positive. In quadrant 3, I'm going to go down a lot, so down 60 more, or up, I should say plus 60. So we have 180 plus 60, that gets me 240. In this quadrant, it's negative, negative. So we have 1/2, comma, square root 3 over 2. So we have negative, negative, negative 1/2, comma, negative root 3 over 2. And then finally in quadrant 4, positive, negative. 360 minus 60 gets me 300 degrees. And we have our ordered pair 1/2, comma, square root 3 over 2, making sure that we have the correct symbols, positive, negative. So we have, I'm going to scroll down. We have all of these different practice problems to practice finding the sine and cosine of the different angles. So remember, everything that ends in 5 goes with 45, and then you're able to figure out 30 versus 60 based on where it lies in the grid. So if I were to draw my graph, everything for 30 is closest to the x-axis, and then everything for 60 is closest to the y-axis. And then of course it goes cosine, comma, sine. So you're able to figure out all of the values of cosine, comma, sine based on the reference angle of 30, 45, and 60.